In this week's discussion topic, I'll be talking about how the eye helps the brain process and receive sensory information. First, a visual stimulus, so like light. When you look at anything, light bounces off of your eyes, and then that light then enters the cornea, which is this pink around the pupil, which then helps the brain formulate an image. After light enters the cornea, it then goes through the pupil, which is this black spot here, and then around the iris, which is the blue. The iris is the coloring. The iris helps control how much light is allowed to enter the eyes. So the lens of the eye changes shape to accommodate to the amount of light needed for the brain to create the image. The purpose of the shape change is to help the brain focus on the image. To help the brain focus the image to the retina. Now attached to the retina would be rods, and they come out like this way, for example, and so do the cones. Rods allow the brain to see in darkness. They don't allow us to visualize color or anything like that, but it allows us to see somewhat in the dark. So like if we're in the dark, our pupils will grow bigger, but if we're in the light, our pupils will shrink. Because if you're in the dark, you need to utilize more light in order to create that image. Okay, so attached to the retina are the rods and the cones. Rods allow the brain to detect images in dark lighting, but they do not help us perceive color. Now, the cones, on the other hand, allow us to see in bright conditions, and they do allow us to see color. After it goes through the cornea, the rods, and the cones, the information starts to go through a visual pathway. This starts by the signals leaving the eye through the optic nerve, which I have demonstrated as my macaroni noodle here. After the signals cross paths in the glia cells, they reach the thalamus in your brain, which acts as the relay or the processing center for that sensory information. Finally, then, the visual cortex then interprets that information and ultimately forms the image that we get to see. So now I will explain the parts on my eye. I'm not the most creative person, so it's not the greatest. But obviously this black part is the pupil. The color is the iris. The cornea. The ciliary muscle is this pink thing, sorry. The lens I have is this pink thing. The fovea is the pink clay underneath my macaroni noodle. And then my macaroni noodle is the optic nerve. And then the purple is the blind spot of the eye. Thank you.